It was supposed to be a simple hike. The woods behind our cabin were dense but mapped, a place my friends and I had explored a dozen times before. But that morning, we found a trail that none of us remembered. The path was unnaturally smooth, as if it had been carved deliberately. Trees on either side seemed to lean in, their twisted branches forming a canopy that blocked out the sky. Against better judgment, we followed it. After an hour, we realized something was wrong. The air grew colder, and the sunlight that should have seeped through was gone entirely. Then we saw them, strange symbols carved into the trees, spiraling patterns that made your eyes water if you stared too long. "We should turn back," I said, but my voice sounded strange, muffled. My friends agreed, but the path was no longer behind us. Just more trees and endless darkness. Panic set in as we wandered. Then we heard it. Footsteps, heavy and deliberate, echoing from somewhere ahead. But we were alone. Suddenly, a figure emerged from the darkness. It was a man, pale and gaunt, with eyes that didn't blink. He carried a lantern that flickered unnaturally, its light casting shadows that moved on their own. "You've come too far," he said in a voice that seemed to reverberate through the woods. "There's no turning back now." We bolted, running blindly through the trees. The footsteps followed, closer and closer, until I tripped. When I looked up, my friends were gone. Breathless, I stumbled into a clearing and froze. There, in the center, was the cabin we'd left that morning. But it was wrong. The windows were shattered, the door hung loosely, and the walls were covered in the same spiraling symbols we'd seen in the woods. Inside, the lantern man stood waiting. He smiled, but his face was no longer human. His skin stretched too tightly, and his grin split wider than it should. "This is your home now," he said as the door slammed shut behind me. I woke up on the forest floor, surrounded by search teams. They told me I'd been missing for a week. But when I got home, the symbols were carved into the walls of my bedroom. And at night, I still hear footsteps in the hall, getting closer.